Hello, everyone. Hello, my fellow pilots, or maybe let's say cadets. Welcome finally to the next training tutorial about Eurofly 3. In this one, we'll be flying the Piper Arrow airplane, and I'll be showing you how to take off from and land at an airport that has one runway in this case, because the flights that you make with the Piper Arrow take place at airports with just one runway. More runways will appear later. Let me just say briefly before we begin, let me apologize for the long delay to those of you who listen to these tutorials as they come out, meaning in January and February of 2024, as the public beta version has come out. You have noticed that there's been several weeks of delay, and I would really like to apologize for that. I mean, I guess a lot of you know how it is sometimes when real life gets in the way, and when it does so in a really spectacular way. There has been a lot of family issues, work issues, real life issues. I was also sick for a week in the meantime, so there was a lot of that. But because I don't want to be delaying those of you who only listen to these when they're up, who have not been waiting for this anxiously because, let's say, that you only started playing Eurofly 3 after after the game was already out of beta and the official version has come out. This is not relevant to you, so I'm not going to bother you with this. Let's just suffice it to say that the remaining training tutorials should now start coming out really soon after each other, like the basic one used to, because I'm finally back again in full swing. Okay, so let me also remind you, or state it briefly before we start flying, so that I don't waste any more time with it. Then let me just reiterate or emphasize that I will no longer be describing all the basics in as much detail as I did before, because I'll assume that you have gone through the previous tutorials, that you have successfully finished your training with the Cessna C-152, which yeah, a lot of you are already way further in training. You have the Saab or the Airbus plane or something. So yeah, but if you're listening to this and are progressing with your training, have not done any training flights with the Piper Arrow yet, I'm assuming you have done the previous training with the Cessna. So I'll only be talking about the things that you should be already familiar with very briefly. If you need to, you can listen to the previous tutorials and to the basic tutorials to really get familiar with the basic concepts that are explained in these. Okay, so let's get into training.
Training dialog.
Let me
Filter edit blank. Training combo box Saab 300.
Because I'm already doing my training with the Saab as well.
Practice.
So
Cessna Munia Piper Arrow.
Let me choose the Piper Arrow in the practice flights combo box, but that is really not any different from your situation. Your situation, if you're doing this as you're supposed to, or like on time, the only difference is that you will see the Piper Arrow as the only available plane directly in the training combo box, and you'll only have the Cessna in the practice flights. No other planes. But so I will actually be doing a practice flight with the Piper Arrow and not a mandatory training flight. But that's the only difference. Otherwise, other than that, the training flights and the practice flights work exactly the same in all regards.
Airport selection dialog.
Let me select
Filter edit.
an airport that I'm familiar with and that has a relatively easy terrain surrounding it, so we can really concentrate just on the runways and taking off and landing.
Select an airport combo box. Czech Republic Juromir. Europe Czech Republic. Dashboard window.
So we're in the cockpit. We're now on the dashboard with the plane not started, not ready to take off. if you did this for the first time, this will also be your first flight with the Piper Arrow, so you will also be expected to select the airport like I just did, and we have to set up everything before we can take off. Let's take a look at the plane properties first, really briefly, to learn the differences between this plane and the Cessna.
Combo box pilot Lucas Hosnittel. 1.
I will not be going through everything as I did before, because you should be familiar with the properties in principle. If not, for any reason, listen to part 7 of the basic tutorial series that talks about the airplane properties in detail.
SKOTF 400 Piper Arrow.
There's our call sign and the plane type.
Transport plane propeller plane. Certified. Condition 100. Last system check. None.
We haven't checked the
Number
systems
of seats.
yet.
4. Number of passengers. 0.
We see this has 4 seats already, but still, it's just a
Wingspan 9M.
small category 1
Length
plane.
7M. Base weight 1T.
Relatively light.
Current weight 1,0T.
So it's also going to maneuver quickly and react quickly.
Current weight. Cruising speed 277 kilometers.
Maximum cruising speed, or the declared cruising speed, is 277 kilometers per hour.
Maximum cruising range 1,679 kilometers. Maximum cruising altitude 4,570. Flap positions 0/3.
This one has 3 available positions in which we can set the flaps. I believe the Cessna did as well.
Base takeoff speed 120 kilometers.
Base takeoff speed of 120 kilometers.
Base landing speed 119 kilometers.
119.
Stall speed 129 kilometers.
And this is what's going to interest us, because as you can see, the stall speed is 129 kilometers.
Base landing stall speed 129 kilometers. Current takeoff speed 120 kilometers.
And the current takeoff speed is 120 kilometers. So we will need to set the flaps as specified below, but you already know this principle from flying with the Cessna, because if we haven't set the flaps, we wouldn't even be able to lift off from the ground, because we would stall.
Nose angle when taking off 6 to 9, 12.
6, 9, 12. 6 minimum, 9 optimum, 12 maximum nose angle when taking off.
Minimum flap position when taking off 1.
Minimum flap position when taking off is 1.
Minimum takeoff runway length 377 m.
We need 377 meters of runway, or of free space ahead of us, to be able to take off. So this plane actually needs a little bit less space to take off than the Cessna did. That one needed 408 meters, I think, if I remember correctly.
Current landing speed 119 kilometers.
Current landing speed is 119, so it's
minimum flap position when nose angle when current takeoff speed 120 kilometers.
Oh no, just 1 kilometer less than
minimum takeoff current land
than the takeoff speed, so it's practically the same for all intents and purposes.
Minimum flap position when landing 3.
Minimum flap position when landing is 3, so we'll be putting the flaps to maximum.
Minimum landing runway length 408 m.
408 meters. So the Piper's minimum landing runway length is practically the Cessna's minimum takeoff runway length.
Fuel tank capacity 1,813 L.
We can load 1,813 liters
current
of
fuel load 0 L.
And we're out of fuel currently.
Current cruising range 0 kilometers.
So we can't fly anywhere.
Fuel used 0 L. Battery off. Engine off. Throttle preset 1.
We see we still have just one engine.
Throttle preset 4. 90%. Doors closed. Seat belt unfastened. Parking brakes active. Current flap position 0. Onboard computer off. Radio off. Transponder off. Communicator off. Atlas off. Sensor off. Status monitor. Taxi lights off. Cabin lights off. Strobe lights off. Landing lights off.
All these
temperature
systems.
Control off. TCA off. Stall indication off. Steering / nose angle. Audio navigation off. Auto course inactive. Auto altitude inactive.
And with this plane, we can already set the auto altitude.
Auto course in audio.
And auto course.
Dashboard.
Okay, so let's get started with the very basics. Turn on the battery or the power supply with Control-Shift-B. Turn on the computer, Control-Shift-K.
Computer on, fuel low.
And we're
fuel
out of
low.
fuel, so Control-E to refuel manually and
fuel low.
1,000.
Put in 1,000.
Dashboard window.
1,000 liters. We can turn on all the other systems that we'll need. So let's say transponder, Control-Shift-T.
Transponder on.
Storm radar, Control-Shift-S. Oh, this one doesn't. Okay, the Piper doesn't have the storm radar. Strobe lights.
Cabin lights on.
With Shift.
Strobe lights on.
D. Cabin lights were Shift-S. taxi lights, Shift K.
Taxi lights on.
Let's fasten our seatbelt, Control B.
Seatbelt fastened.
And perform a system check, Control Shift Z.
Starting system check.
Let's take a look into the properties real quick. Control Enter.
Combo box. Last system check. Just now. System check. All systems
All
are working
systems
correctly.
are working correctly. That's
Dashboard.
wonderful. Where are we?
West.
S to check our course. We're facing due west. K and L.
50 hangar. 1060 hangar.
We're at the very south and at the very east of the airport, but we're inside the
Hangar doors closed
hangar. Checked that with O. We learned
West.
that the hangar doors were closed, so Shift O to open the hangar. And let's take a look at the properties of this airport. Now, Shift Enter.
Combo box pilot Lucas Haas. SKOTF 447. Piper Arrow. LKJA. Jeromer. Public without maintenance services. 1.
It's a public airport without
Hangar doors
maintenance
open.
services, Category 1.
Height above sea level 261 m.
261 meters above sea level.
Difficulty 1.
It's a difficult
Approach
1
control
airport.
119,1.
There are the approach control. There is the approach control frequency. This still has no ground control because there are no gates or stands. So just like you already know from flying with the Cessna.
Airport description.
And there's the airport description, and this is where it's going to become interesting and new because this airport already has one runway.
Runways 1.
Runways 1.
Runway 3214. 939 m.
Runway 3214, and it's 999
Runway 3214. 939 m.
939 meters long, sorry.
Entrance 32. Alpha. 100. 810.
Entrance 32, Alpha.
Entrance 14. Alpha Romeo
Entrance
Echo.
14,
820.
Alpha
Surface.
Romeo Echo.
Hangar southeast.
We don't know what surface that runway has. It's unknown. It's not specified in the database, so that's why it says surface unknown. The hangar, as we realized or found out before, is located in the southeastern part of the airport.
Total area 920 x 1110. Safety zone 200.
And that's it. So let's explain the description
Approach control. Airport. Runways 1.
of the runways.
Runway 3214. 939 m.
Runway 3214, or rather 3214. What does this mean? It means that that the runway runs in the direction when approaching the airport from one end of the runway or from the one side, we would be flying or coming in on course 140 degrees because the runway number 14 means it's on course 140. We always need to add a 0 at the end of the runway designation number, just like we did, or just like we do with the altitude. When the tower tells us, for example, to climb to altitude 95, it actually means we have to climb to 950, 950 meters. The same principle is used with these runway designation numbers. So one end of the runway is on course 140, so it's slightly south west, and the other runway is the other end of the runway is 320, course 320, because the number is 32, so it's runs in a northwestern kind of direction. You have to realize, it's important to realize that we are using both ends of the runway, but they're still physically the same single runway. So depending on which side of the airport we're coming in from, and especially depending on the weather, on the direction of the wind, we'll be assigned a runway to take off, and more importantly to land based on that. So that's why there are two entrances listed. Two entrances, but both belong to the same runway. Each entrance is one end of the runway. That's determined by which of these runways we were assigned. So if we were assigned a runway 14, for example, we could not just turn to or enter the runway from the other end, from the course 320 and take off from there, because that's just not how you do it. There could be another pilot, say, taking off or landing at the other end or something like that. So you need to respect the actual runway that you are assigned.
Runway 3214, 939M. Entrance 32, Alpha, 100, 810.
Entrance 32
Entrance 32, Alpha,
is at
100,
Alpha
810.
At coordinates latitude 100, longitude 810. This means we don't actually really have to use the coordinates. We don't have to remember them, although they can be helpful to help us determine where exactly on the taxiway the entrance to that runway is. But the important piece of information here is that we will be entering runway 32 if we were assigned this runway from the Alpha taxiway. So to get to runway 32, we just need to turn to Alpha and move along Alpha, and we'll eventually reach the entrance to runway 32. Whereas if we were assigned runway 14,
Entrance 14, Alpha Romeo Echo, 820, 200.
It's at Alpha Romeo Echo, meaning first we need to get to Alpha and follow that. Then, while moving along Alpha, we will be coming across the turning to the auxiliary taxiway Romeo. We'll need to turn to Romeo, follow that. We'll come across the turning that leads to the Echo taxiway. So again, turn that way, follow Echo, and finally on Echo there will be the turning to runway 14.
Entrance 32, Entrance 14.
These are always listed in the properties from the ground perspective. So when you're moving on the ground.
Surface, Unk, Hangar Southeast. Total area 9. Combo.
Let's also take a very brief look. I'll demonstrate this in practice as we are about to take off, but let's take a very short, very quick look at the descent map for
height above sea.
This airport.
Height above sea level 261
meters above the sea
level. Same
level.
altitude safe circle 0, 0 km.
It doesn't have a same altitude safe circle, so that means that there is a hill or a mountain somewhere at one side of the airport, very close by. So if we were coming in from that side, we would need to descend in order to be able to land. To descend
2 kilometers safe altitude 281 m, which is 20 m above ground.
Just 20 meters. Just 20 meters to be able to land, only after we get to the airport. You see, because within 2 kilometers of the airport, we have to be at a safe height of 281, whereas the height above sea level of the airport itself is 261 meters. That's a 20 meters of difference. So within 2 kilometers of the airport, we'll be at altitude 281, and only after we get to the airport, we would be able to descend all the way to like 275 or something, to be like 15 meters above ground in order to be able to land, because there's no same altitude safe circle around the airport. Whereas other airports, like the ones that we were flying at with the Cessna, had a same altitude safe circle of like 200, 300, 500 meters. So that would mean that at such an airport, we can get to the proper landing altitude, which is less than 20 meters above ground, already while we are still like half a kilometer away or 300 or 200 meters away from the airport. Hope this makes sense.
5 kilometers safe altitude 377 m.
Okay, we have to get to 377 meters within 5 kilometers after taking off. So we'll definitely be able to do that without any issues. That's not too much of a steep climb.
Dashboard.
So let's get back to the dashboard, and I believe it's time to finally contact the tower, the approach control, and create the flight plan, etc. So press the 9 key on the numbers row to find out the approach control's frequency.
Combo box Jeromer approach control 119,1 collapsed.
119.1.
Per Kralov Nadlevem approach. Harada Kralov approach.
There are
Nov Mestonad Metoj air traffic control check.
quite a few airports around as well that we could also contact if we wanted to, because they're within range. There are three other airports in the Czech Republic.
Air
There's
traffic
the
control Czech
air
Republic
traffic
311,
control for the Czech Republic.
Air traffic control Poland 3.
And there's air traffic control for Poland as well.
Jeromer approach
So,
control 119,1. Dashboard window.
119.1. Turn on the radio. Control Shift F.
Radio on.
Alt F
Set
to
frequency.
enter the frequency. 119.1.
Jeromer approach control. Dashboard window.
7. Welcome to our airport.
We've been welcomed. Thank you very much.
Combo box Czech Republic.
Control F8 to bring up the list of all the available airports ordered by distance, starting with the one closest to us. And let me select the destination airport, and I'll
Combo box Czech Republic remove.
set one that I know that is also relatively easy to land on, so we can focus on the runway stuff. This airport is
Combo box Czech Republic remove. LKBR 39 kilometers 140 right 25 minutes. Focus
just
collapsed.
39 kilometers away, and it says it's going to take us 25 minutes to get there. Should be fine. Let's press space
Destination set. Dashboard
to
window.
add this airport into our navigation or set it as the destination. Now let's press F1
Combo box.
to contact the tower
Plan. I want to create a flight plan.
and choose the request that I want to create a flight
Call
plan.
sign edit read only
Enter.
SKOTF.
There's a call sign which we can't do anything
Select destination
about.
combo box Czech Republic
There's
remove.
this
LKBR
destination
collapsed.
which has already been pre-filled for us because we added it to the navigation first, like I always do personally.
Filter edit blank. Flight description edit blank.
Let's just put in
English. Piper Aero tutorial training flight. Aero. A-R-R-O-T. Piper Aero tutorial training flight. Requesting combo box navigated flight collapsed.
Let's
Direct-
do direct flight because this is a short flight.
Request flight button.
Request flight.
Dashboard window.
SK447. Flight plan accepted without objections. Set transponder to 7247.
7247 is the transponder value that we've been assigned. So Alt T
Set transponder code.
to put it in. 7247. Enter.
7247. Dashboard window.
Shift T to verify.
7247 SKOTF 400.
Okay, we're good. So we have opened the hangar. We don't need to ask for any permission to start the engines because we're just a small plane with just one engine where we can start them anytime we want to. So since we have just one engine, let's start it up with the page up key. Let's turn on the other remaining systems that we could not turn on before because we didn't have enough energy, enough power for that, but we do now that we've started the engine. So turn on
TCAS
the
on.
TCAS with Control Shift C, the stall warning or stall indication with Control Shift
Stall indication
E,
on.
temperature control with Control Shift Q,
Temperature control on.
Alt Q to set the temperature.
Set temperature. 15.
Let's
16.
do
20.
20.
Temperature
window.
set.
Control backspace to turn on the sensor,
Sensor on.
and the Piper doesn't have any more systems. Let's ask the approach control to assign us a runway. So F1
Combo
again.
box enter. Repair. Runway. Asking for runway assignment. Dashboard window.
SK447. You've been assigned runway 32. You can taxi.
We've been assigned runway 32.
Combo Entrance 32. Alpha 100. West.
So this is going to be really simple because we are already facing west in order to be able to get out of the hangar. So we'll just keep going due west until we get to the main area and then to the Alpha taxiway. And without having to turn to follow any other taxiways like Romeo and Echo, we'll just by following Alpha, by going straight west, due west, we'll come across the turning that'll lead us to the 32 runway. So we're set to go. Let's disengage the parking brake with B,
Parking brakes off.
and let's get going. I'll that's just the way I prefer. You can do it differently. You can use the throttle presets, for example. But what I usually do is that I set the engines to full power to 90% with Alt Home, keep checking my speed with the R key, and when the speed reaches the level, the value that I'm comfortable with, which in this case will be probably 20 kilometers per hour, then I just choke off the engines with Control Delete. And of course I had to make a cut here because I entered the runway in a pretty poor way. I wasn't able to explain things, so just don't be surprised if you notice that my call sign has changed now.
Throttle preset 4, 0,1, 3, 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 13, 6, 18, 9, choke, 23.
Okay.
23. West.
We're still going due west.
Parking.
Now we're at the parking in front of the hangar, which we can verify with the K and L keys.
50 parking in front of the 974 parking in front of the hangar.
Alpha.
Now we're on
Throttle
Alpha.
preset
Let me
22,
slow down
21,
a bit.
19, 18, 7, 6, 16, 16, 15, 4, 13, 12, 11, 10. Choked off. 9.
Ask
Combo.
for permission to enter
Enter.
the runway
Dashboard window.
and turn to the right.
You're permitted to enter the runway.
32,
331.
32,
325. 318.
32,
318. 319. 320. 0. 321.
32,
320. 320.
32,
320.
See, runway 32,
32.
so we have to be on course
320.
320
32,
Runway 3214.
Throttle preset.
and stop all the way. So Alt N to set the engines to 0 and hold down slash to brake.
0.
Now if I press K twice, I can see that there's
934 M.
934 meters of the runway left ahead of us, so this will be more than enough space to take off. What I did, let me just briefly remind you about the turning, about how to turn. What I did when I started hearing the beacon was that I pressed shift right arrow because we were facing west and we needed to turn right. I pressed shift right arrow 3 times to turn the wheels. Remember how we turn in Eurofly 3, to turn the wheels by 30 degrees. So because this is a small plane, we don't really need to turn the wheels by 50 degrees. We turn fast enough even if we turn the wheels by like 20, 25 or 30 degrees. So that made me start turning, and as soon as I reached, or I tried to do that as soon as I reached 320, I just pressed G quickly to level or to recenter the wheels and stay on that course. Then I had to make slight minor adjustments to be on course 320. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Let's ask the tower for takeoff clearance with F1.
Combo box enter. Takeoff. Asking for takeoff clearance. Dashboard window.
SK364, cleared for takeoff.
And we're clear for takeoff, so Control F
Set flap position.
to set the flaps to 1.
1. Dashboard window.
Because as we remember from the plane properties, the minimum required
Flap set.
flap position when taking off is 1. Control Enter to get
Combo.
back to the plane properties, and let's just
flap position. Current takeoff speed.
briefly
120
check
kilometers.
this, 120. So now
Dashboard.
I'll set the power to the engines to full power with Alt Home, keep checking my speed with R as usual, and as soon as it reaches 120, I'll press shift down arrow once to lift, to raise the nose by 10 degrees.
Throttle preset 4. 3 flaps at 1. 7 flaps. 11 flaps at 1. 33 flaps at 1. 65 flaps at 1. 82 flaps. 80, 88, 94, 97, 101, 106, 112, 115, 120 flap. $159 flaps at 1.
Takeoff successful.
Okay. Let me
Set flap position. Set.
Control F and 0.
Zero.
Set
Dashboard
the
window.
flaps to 0 so that we
Safety
don't
zone.
damage them.
Flaps
Let me
set.
lower the volume of the
Fast next
music
key through.
Out
though.
of airport.
Volume settings dial 29, 28,
SK364, climb to
19,
altitude
16,
96.
15. Dash.
We've been told to climb to altitude 96, and since the Piper already has the auto altitude feature, we can press Alt
Set altitude. Set
Y
altitude.
and enter 960.
960. Dashboard window.
And if we press N to find out where our destination is,
92 right at 52.
it's at 52. We can also do the auto course to fly straight to the destination. So Alt S
Set course. Set
and
course.
52.
52.
Enter.
Dashboard window.
You can hear the ding, ding sound, which always lets us know when we've turned by 10 degrees, as I have corresponds to my personal setting. Now the beep sound was let me know that I finished turning.
2 right at 54.
It's moved in the meantime though,
Set
so
course.
54.
Dashboard window.
Okay, now
1
we're
right at
flying
55. Set 55.
55.
Dead ahead at 55.
Now we're flying straight. We've reached the altitude
960.
of 960, so it's perfect. Control N,
36 kilometers, remove 7 minutes.
36 kilometers, 7 minutes to get there. Let me take a look at the properties of the destination airport with
Combo.
Control F8.
Czech Republic Tver Kralov Nadlib. Czech Republic Novmet. Czech Republic Hradec Kralov. Filter edit. Combo box Czech Republic remove.
And Shift Enter.
Combo box approach control 123,5.
123.5.
Dashboard window.
I'll
Set
actually
frequency.
switch the radio 123.5
123,5.
right
Dashboard
now
window.
so that the tower will contact us by themselves as soon as we get within range.
Combo filter edit blank.
And let
combo
me
box.
take a look at the
Combo box Czech Republic remove.
descent map and the description of that airport.
Public height diff approach control. Airport runways 1.
Also has just one runway.
Runway 3214 919 m.
3214. It's a little bit shorter.
Runway 3214 919 m.
Just 20 meters shorter than it was at the Takeoff airport, but otherwise it's the very same runway.
Entrance 32 Bravo 100 790.
At Bravo is the entrance to 32.
Entrance 14 Bravo Victor Charlie
And the
800.
entrance to 14 is at Bravo Victor Charlie.
Surface hangars. Total area 900.
Let's take a look at the descent map
Combo box descent map.
for this airport.
Height above sea level 390 m.
390 meters, so it's like 130 meters higher than our Takeoff airport was. Let's see how difficult
Same altitude,
the
safe circle,
landing
0,2
is gonna
km.
be. 200 meters of same altitude safe circle though, so that should help.
2 kilometers safe altitude 463 m, which is 73 m above ground.
73 meters above. Okay. 463
2 kilometers safe
safe
altitude
height
463 m, which is 73 m above.
at 2 kilometers away. So we'll have to descend by like 60 meters or 50 meters only at the 200 meters within the airport. Okay,
5
that's
kilometers safe
gonna be
altitude 667 m, which is 2.
quite a steep climb.
10 kilometers, 20 kilometers safe altitude 989 m, which is 599 m above ground.
989 meters is safe altitude at 20 kilometers.
20 kilometers safe altitude 989 m, which is
So we should actually climb
set altitude
a little higher. Alt Y 990
990
just to be on
Dashboard
the
window.
safe side. This sound that you heard just briefly, just right, that's the indication that your plane is not flying straight. That either your nose or your wheels or the wings are raised or turning.
24 kilometers, remove 5 minutes.
In 4 kilometers, the tower is going to contact us.
1 left at 54. Set 54. Dashboard with dead ahead at 54. Mac flap positions 0/3. Dash.
Okay, I have retracted the flaps. That's good.
23 kilometers, remove 4. Dead ahead at 288.
We're flying at a speed of 288 kilometers. The weather is
Light rain temperature 8 pressure 900 and
light rain.
light rain
okay.
temperature 8 pressure 996 humidity 98 north wind 2 m per second.
North wind, so we'll probably be assigned
54.
runway of 32 because you're always supposed to land while flying against the wind in reality.
21 kilometers, dead ahead at
We'll find out as soon as the tower contacts us. I'll ask them to be assigned a runway and then immediately for approach clearance, just like we should. This is the Czech Republic theme song as we're flying that is playing as we're flying over the Czech
Remove
Republic.
approach control.
364.
There we are.
Welcome to the
Runway.
airspace of our airport.
Runway.
Dashboard with combo box equipped.
SK364. You've been assigned runway 32.
Yeah, we've been assigned runway 32. Okay, and ask
Great.
for
Approach.
approach
Dashboard.
clearance.
SK364. You can begin approach.
Now,
One right at 55. Set course. Dash.
let me explain this.
Paused.
Actually, let me pause the flight for a while so that I can concentrate on the explanation first, and then I can demonstrate it. You see, we're coming in on course 54 or 55, and the airport is dead ahead of us. But we've been assigned runway 32, which is on course 320 degrees. Because we need to, you see there's the north wind, and we need to be landing so that we're flying against the wind. But we can't just turn to 320 degrees right now, you see, because there's no airport at on course 320 and at our current position. We would just completely miss the airport that way. So what we have to do is circle around the airport and keep checking its position with the N key until we are told that the airport itself is on course 320 degrees, not on course like 54. So we actually need to make a circle, and we need to approach the airport from the other side than we're currently flying. You always have to realize which way you're going to need to turn to reach the assigned runway. So now, since we've been assigned runway 32 and we're flying on course 54, it's going to be fastest to actually turn to the right, because if we fly to the right, then obviously the airport's position in relation to us will move over to the left, so to speak. And it's faster to turn by just like 80 degrees or something. Yeah, 90 degrees, essentially. Then if we were flying to the left, the airport would gradually change its position to our right. But we would have to do like 270 degrees that way. So let me just demonstrate this.
Resumed.
Let me turn to course, let's say.
Set course.
That's the way I do it. I usually use auto course. And let me do 100.
100. Dashboard window. 46 left at 54.
54.
46 left at 54.
And you'll see, if I keep checking this position with the N key,
47 left at 53.
you'll see how it gradually moves to the left, right?
48 left at 52.
And we have to keep doing this until the airport is at 320
49 left at 51.
and gradually decrease the angle that we're coming in from. If I was, hypothetically speaking, assigned the runway 14, what I would do instead was that I would turn to the left. So, for example, to something like 0, and let the airport move over to the right until it was on course 140. You could also just
56 left at 44.
turn by like 1 degree, turn right by 1 degree or like 4 or 5 degrees. Let me demonstrate that. Pressed right arrow 4 times.
4.
If I press G, I see that my wings are now at an angle of 4.
87 left at 39.
And we're gradually,
98 left at 38.
the airport is
110 left at 37.
moving away
121 left at 37.
more sharply.
132 left at 36.
But
143 left at 35.
if you're
Zero.
more than
Zero.
100, if the angle between you and the airport is more than 100 degrees, you're getting
14 kilometers. 14
farther away from the airport.
15 kilometers.
So you can actually make use. You see, it was at 14 kilometers away, and now it's 15 kilometers away. So you could actually make use of this on purpose if you wanted to, if you were experienced with doing this.
157 left at 32.
But generally, it's a good idea to be aware of this.
207.
So we'll just let it
Poland.
move over further to the left until it is on course 320.
69 left at 31.
I can make it a little faster. Turn to the right by just 4 degrees or 5.
5. 105 left at 27. 121 left at 26. 136 left at 25. 156 left at 25. 175 left at 25. 171 right at 25. 149 right at 25. 133 right at 26. 0. 268. 119 right at 27. Set course. Set. 60. Dashboard
We
window.
set the course to 60.
Poland. Czech Republic. Czech Republic.
You see, I already turned too sharply, and I was not decreasing the position of the airport or the course of the airport the way I wanted,
30 left at 30.
the way it should have been. So we still need the airport to move by like 70 degrees. No, 110 degrees actually. Still quite a lot. More than 90 degrees.
14 kilometers.
Check the distance.
34 left at 26.
That's still fine.
14 kilometers.
But I can descend a little lower now if I press the comma key.
5 kilometers. Safe altitude 800. Controlled area Velka Porsai 4.
No, I'm at a different airport, so I have to... I'm flying over a different airport. I found that out with the 8 key on the numbers row, so I have to open the
Filter edit blank.
airport properties for
Combo box Czech Republic Brumov.
my destination airport and look at the descent map.
15 kilometers. Safe altitude 900 m, which is 500.
900, so I can
Set altitude.
auto
Republic.
descend to
Czech Republic.
900.
900. 43 left at 17.
17, still a ways to go.
11 kilometers. Brumov 2 minutes.
11 kilometers. Let me start slowing down. So I will set the throttle
Poland.
to
Throttle preset 3. Throttle preset 2. Throttle preset 1.
preset 1 with control end.
0. Power. 27/0,0%. 3. Power. 3%. 1. Power. 1%.
I need to
Throttle
make
preset
sure
1.
the power is at 1% at least, because if I left it at 0, we would lose all lift and we would fall immediately.
Combo
The
box.
current stall speed
Stall speed 129.
is
dash-
129
190.
kilometers.
185. 182. 178. 54 left at 6. 172. 169.
Let me now
Set-
set the flaps to 3,
3.
control F,
158.
so
155.
that I will be able
151.
Flaps set.
148 flaps at 3.
to reach the landing
141
speed.
flaps at 3.
Which is-
combo box cruising speed, current takeoff, nose angle wind, certified number of wings dash 124 flaps at choked off. Combo box cruising speed, current takeoff speed, nose angle minimum current landing speed 119 kilometers. Dashboard window
119.
122 flaps at 3.
122.
121 120 flap 118 choked off. 117
Okay,
flap
so we're flying at 117.
62 left at 358.
That's
8,7
enough, I would say.
controlled area room of 8,
Now we're in the destination airport's controlled area finally. So
10 kilometers safe altitude 797.
10 kilometers safe altitude
Set out.
is 797, so we'll do like 800 to
800.
make sure.
65 left at 355.
30 more degrees and we'll be aligned with the runway.
67 left at 353. 68 left at 352. 8,3 km group.
So the flaps and the landing speed are already okay. Now we just need to worry about the altitude
72 left at 348.
and the direction. Okay, we needed to get 28 more degrees to the left.
73 left at 347. 8,0 km room of 4 minutes.
4 minutes, 8 kilometers away, should be good.
Czech Republic.
Should
Poland.
still have enough time.
76 left at 344.
344. I can actually already ask for landing clearance, I think, even though I'm not yet aligned with the runway, to save time and not to forget it later, not to forget to do it later.
Taxi lights off.
I forgot to turn off the taxi lights after taking off.
Combo box approach.
F1,
Land.
asking for landing
Dashboard
clearance.
K364. You are clear
We
to
are
land.
clear to land. Shift L
Landing
to
lights
turn
on.
on the landing lights. So now we really just need to worry about the
83 left at 337.
direction and the altitude, nothing else.
7,7 K.
7.7 kilometers. This is, we're coming in slowly enough so that I will be able to do all of it.
87 left at 333.
13 more degrees, come on.
88 left at 332.
This looks good.
90 left at 330.
Let me turn to
Set course.
350.
300.
Auto turn to 350.
78 left at 328. 64 left at 327.
Okay.
23 left at 327. 23 left at 327. 7,5 km broom of 3 minutes. 10 kilometers safe altitude 797 m 799. 24 left at 326.
6 more degrees. Come on, come on, come on. You can do it.
350. 25 left at 325.
5 degrees.
Czech Republic.
6,9 km
Czech
broom.
Republic.
26 left at 324. 26 left at 324.
4 degrees.
27 left at 323.
3.
27 left at 323. 27 left at 323. 27 left at 323. 28 left at 322.
2.
6,3 K. 28 left at 322. 28 left at 320. 29 left at 321. 29 left. 29 left at
I will
300.
turn
29 left at
auto
320.
turn
29 left. 29 left at
to
300. 30 left at 3. Set
320.
course.
320.
320. Dashboard window. Dead ahead at 320.
Dead ahead at 320.
320.
We did it good.
5,6 km.
5.6 kilometers.
10 kilometers safe altitude 797 m.
When we get to 5 kilometers, I'll press Control S
5,3 km.
to bring up the ILS system and choose the runway 32. And the ILS is a system provided by the airport,
5,1 km.
which, when we're aligned with the airport,
5,0 km.
when we are on the right
320.
course, makes sure.
Combo box 32 collapsed.
You see, Control S, 32,
Dashboard
enter. Now if I check my course,
319,5 ILS.
319.5, but it says ILS.
Paused.
That's the important thing. This ILS system makes sure now I can't turn anymore. I'm not allowed to turn manually, because if I do, I would disengage the ILS. But if I keep the course of 320 and I do not turn anymore, and I have activated the ILS will make sure that I will stay on course with the runway. Like, as I get closer to the airport, the course, there could be minor adjustments, but the ILS auto guides my plane. It sends out like a beam, which automatically guides my plane slightly, like 1 degree to the left or 1 degree to the right, to make sure that I always stay on course, on the right course for the runway 32. So basically, just remember that once you've been assigned runway, and once you've reached the correct course for the runway, and once you are 5 or less kilometers away from the airport, you just should activate the ILS by pressing Control S and choosing the runway that you've been given from the list. There should usually be just one, but the ILS is especially important if there are like parallel runways. So let's say that this airport had multiple runways on the same direction. Let's say that the airport had runways 32 left and 32 right, and the airport gave us the order to land at runway 32 right. Then, because they're both on the same course, right? They're just perpendicular to each other. So that's why we would need to activate the ILS and select the runway 32 right in this case. Now that I'm aligned with the runway, I can actually take a look at the descent map of the airport, but not of the whole airport. I'm no longer interested in a safe altitude circle, because I'm already coming in from the right direction, from the direction where I'll be landing. I know which runway I will use and I'm already aligned with it. So at this point, I can look at the descent map for the runway, because being aligned correctly with the landing runway allows me to descend lower and sooner than the entire safe altitude circle around the whole airport does. So now that I'm aligned with the runway and I'm flying on the ILS, I can take a look with Shift Enter at the descent map for the runway. And these points for the runway are in the airport properties below the overall general descent map for the whole airport. So on pause,
Resumed.
Shift
Combo
Enter,
box pilot, combo.
tab to get to descent map,
10
and just press the down arrow.
Runway 14.
Runway 14, we're
Six,
not interested.
4, 7.
So keep going down.
Runway 32.
Right here's runway 32.
4,7 km, 13 kilometer, 4,7 km descent to 464 m, which is 74.
We can get to 404.
4,7 km descent to 464 m, which is
Shift up, lower the nose.
790.
Once more,
Minus
by
20.
20 degrees.
760.
Descend
739.
really sharply.
718.
Just keep checking the altitude with Y, and
672.
when it's 464, I'll
642.
level the nose by pressing T twice quickly.
596. 577. 563. 547. 533. 522. 508. 496. 0. 484. 483. 479. 473. 468. 0. 461.
Never mind.
2,6 K.
2.6
Combo
kilometers.
box pilot Lucas Haas. Combo dashboard. Combo box pilot. Runway 4. Runway 32. 0. 4,7. 13. 4,5 km descent to 449 m. 0,3 km descent to 419 m, which is 29 m above ground.
Okay.
4,5 km descent to 449 m, which
Now
is
I can get to 449.
minus 454. 446. 1,8 km.
1.8 kilometers from the airport. We have landing clearance, we are on ILS, we are on the right course, we have the right landing speed, we have the flaps extended.
117 flaps at 3.
So we should be good to go. But we're just now, if I press period,
42 above ground.
we're still 42 meters
1,2 km.
above ground. So I'll need to
40.
get at least 22 more meters lower to be able to land.
0,9 km broom of dashboard wind. Combo box combo runway 0,3 km descent to 419 m, which is 29 m. 4,5 k dash 0,6 k 0,5 km 0,4 k 0,3 km broom of 0 minute 53 of 50 above 47 44 41 of 39 of 36 30
Safety zone.
31 above 0
Now I can get
27
to,
above 24 above 20 above 18 above 0
okay,
16 above
level the nose.
destination.
We're at the airport now.
Bravo.
I just need to wait, just as usual,
Runway
for the
32.
runway. It's here.
Throttle preset
and
0.
Landing successful.
and hold slash.
77, 72, 67, 62 flap, 57 flap, 52 flap, 47, 44.
Now I can choke off
Throttle
the
preset
speed.
631 m.
We still have 641 meters left to go, and since we have used the runway 32,
538 m.
in order to know which way we'll be going,
Throttle preset 36, 34
Let me
flap,
slow
32
down
flap, 29,
to
20, 26,
20.
24, 22, 19 flaps at choked off. 400 and
I need to check out in the airport properties
combo.
the entrance to runway 14.
Combo.
You see, because I'm interested in the other end. I need to know where to go to reach the main area from the other end of the runway than where I landed.
Runway 14.
So runway 14.
Entrance 32. Entrance 14.
14.
Bravo Victor Charlie.
Bravo Victor
Dashboard.
Charlie. Now I need to turn that around in my head. So this tells me that now that I've landed on runway 32 and I'll be leaving it at the 14 end, this means that I'll first come across the turning to Charlie, then to Echo, then to Bravo. When I get to Bravo, since Bravo is the taxiway that goes due east, that'll tell me that I actually need to turn due west on Bravo in order to get to the main area.
191 m. 17 flaps at 3. 17. 19 flap, 19, 20 flaps at 3.
Okay.
141.
Just 140 meters of runway 32 to go, and then we'll be turning
320,0 ILS.
to Charlie. I can set the
Set
flaps
flaps
to 0.
Dashboard window.
Turn off landing lights,
on.
turn
Taxi
on
lights
taxi
on.
lights.
Flaps set.
Left.
And there's Charlie.
Charlie. Left.
Turn,
300 and 0.
Charlie.
9.
Left.
due north.
7. 0. 2.
Charlie.
1. North
Left.
Charlie. North.
And it told us to turn left. It said Charlie left. So I am turning to west.
269.
14.
206. 200 west. 0 west.
14.
There's the runway 14.
14.
We don't want to use that entrance.
West.
We want to keep going west along Charlie until we get to the turning to Victor.
74 M.
74 meters.
Big west.
There's Victor on our left, so
West.
I will be
Victor.
turning due south.
Victor.
0. 184. 100.
Victor.
182. Minus 3. 0. 178. 187. 187.
Hey,
180. 170. 177. 185. 100. South. South.
now I'm going due south finally.
594 M.
600 meters
South.
of Victor to go,
South.
and then I'll get to Bravo. Bravo will be dead ahead of me, so I will wait till I get to Bravo, till the beacon stops, to make sure I'm on Bravo, and then I will turn. And since I'm now going
South.
due south, and I can turn either right or left, we know that Bravo goes due east, but I actually need to turn west this time to get to the main area. If I turned east to follow Bravo going east, I would just get to runway 32 again. I need to get to the main area, so as soon as I'm on Bravo, it's dead ahead of me. The beacon has stopped. The TTS has announced that I'm on Bravo. I'll just
South.
turn 90 degrees to the right to be going due west, and that'll bring me to the main area. We can verify
Combo.
this.
Height above sea level. Hangar southwest.
The hangar is to the southwest.
Pilot. Piper Aero train.
By looking at the airport
Piper Aero.
properties,
Height above. Difficulty. Approach control. Airport description. Runways 1. Runway 3214. Entrance 32. Entrance 14. Surface. Hangar south. Total area not safe. Dashboard window.
by the way, there's currently a bug at the time of recording this where I have to ask for
South. something.
I have to ask the
Bravo.
control tower for an instruction. Otherwise, if I
Bravo.
didn't and I stopped at the, I parked at
Bravo.
the main area,
Bravo.
the program would not evaluate the flight as
Bravo.
completed. Turn right.
0. 269.
Victor.
269. 269. West.
Victor.
0. West.
So I have to ask
Combo box.
with F1 for something.
Plan. I want to change. Enter. Asking for permit.
Victor.
Plan. Repair. I need runway. At takeoff. Ask. Plan. I want to change
the
dashboard
flight
window.
plan.
364. It's not possible to change the flight.
It's the only instruction that makes sense to do that.
West.
And now
Hangar.
81 parking in front of throttle.
I have to stop. They told me
Hangar.
to taxi to
Hangar.
the parking. So I did.
Hangar.
Flight completed. I stopped. There's the hangar right in front of us. I was on the right edge of the taxiway in the meantime. And
Hangar.
training.
Flight 3 Lucas
That's
Hospital
it.
window.
The flight has been completed. We've been properly returned to the main menu. And this is how you can train with the how you can fly the Piper Arrow. The important stuff in this tutorial was especially how to take off, how to taxi along the airport, along the different runways, and then also how to land. So after you've been assigned a runway by approach control, how to align yourself with it to be flying correctly on course, and also remember the ILS system. That's what's new in this training stage. As you could see, the rest of the things were basics that are still the same that you're already familiar with from flying with the Cessna and from the basic tutorials. So what's new here with at airports with runways is how to take off, how to land, how to align yourself with the landing runway, and how to use the ILS. When I meet you next time, we'll be flying the Mooney airplane, which will actually be stage 1D, the fourth stage of training. The Piper Aero is the second training stage, and the Mooney will be the fourth training stage. We'll skip the third one because there's really not much of a difference between the Piper and the Beechcraft Bonanza, which is the third stage. And with the Mooney, we'll already be flying on airports with multiple runways. And the Mooney also has landing gear, so you'll learn how to use and how to control, and especially how to pay attention to the landing gear. So that's been it for today. Thanks for listening. I hope you're having a good time with Eurofly and with your training. And once again, let me apologize for the huge delay. This should no longer be the case anymore with the remaining upcoming tutorials. And if anything was not clear, because I realize I had to, but this is always like this when you're flying, I realize I had to do some of the things relatively hastily as I was getting ready for landing. I realize I may have explained something a little bit too quickly, so if you're still not clear on something, feel free to go ahead and ask me in the comments below this video if you're watching this on YouTube. Or if you're listening to this as the downloaded MP3, feel free to write me an email at english@kissoft.sk and ask if something is not clear. Just don't be surprised if it takes me a couple of days or maybe even a week to get back to you, because I'm a busy person with 2 jobs, several other different projects of my own that I'm working on, with a family and friends and etc. I'm sure you can imagine that. But that's been it for today. See you real soon in training tutorial 3, where we'll be flying the Mooney with a landing gear on airports with multiple runways. Bye for now.